Hello and welcome. I'm Anna Brown, and today I'm joined by my co-host, Pamela Rickia and Erika Ellis. Hello.
Hello.
And if you are here with us and enjoying the podcast, I invite you to join us at the Living Joyfully Network. It's such a beautiful, supportive space filled with intentional people exploring ideas and sharing their journeys. And it just, I don't know, it fills me up so much. And I just want everyone to experience that. You can learn more about the network at the Living Joyfully shop, which also has resources and support in the forms of books, courses, and coaching as well. So you can find the link in the show notes, or you can visit livingjoyfullyshop.com. In today's podcast, we will be talking about bids for connection. I love this reframe. It has helped me so many times. So I'm really looking forward to this discussion. And I think Erika is going to get us started.
I would love to. I just love this topic so much, and I would like to just give a kind of a brief introduction to the idea of bids for connection. So, doctors John and Julie Gottman from the Gottman Institute have been studying relationships for many decades, and they came up with this concept of bids for connection as a way of viewing our interactions with the people we love as opportunities for validation and connection. So, a bid for connection is just a little action, something someone says that indicates that another person would like to connect with us. It could look like someone saying, "Look at this," or "I'm exhausted," or it could be a hug, or a request for help, or a loud sigh. It's basically an opportunity to make a choice in how we respond. And the Gottmans describe three possible directions we could take. So the first is called turning towards, which means enthusiastically meeting the bid with connection, looking towards the person, responding with validation, increasing those feelings of connection. The person is feeling seen and heard, and the relationship is strengthened. The second is called turning away, which could look like just staying mostly unengaged by the bid. So maybe just, continuing to look at whatever you were already working on, glancing up for a second to say, or wait a minute, something like that. Sometimes it feels like this is the best that we can respond in this moment, but over time, that type of response will lead to disconnection in the relationship, and the person can feel rebuffed or like you're not very interested in them. And then the third is called turning against, which is usually the result of being in a state of overwhelm. So turning against would look like aggressively rejecting the bid for connection, like, "Can't you see I'm busy?" Or, "Oh, here we go, what now?" Or rolling your eyes. So turning against damages the relationship and makes it more likely that the person is not going to make future bids for connection. So I found some examples of what these three options might look like with a couple different bids. So if someone says, "Can you come here for a minute?" Turning towards might be, "Sure, what's up?" Turning away might be, "In a minute, I'm almost done with this." And turning against might be, "Can't you see I'm watching the game here?" So you can imagine how different those three responses would feel. If someone says, "Whoa, check out that view," turning towards might be looking at the view and saying, "Whoa, that's amazing." And turning away might be like not really looking up at all and saying, "Mm-hmm." And turning against might be, "Really? You had me look up for that?" So I thought that one was kind of an obvious example. But this next one was super interesting. So, say if someone says, "I'm exhausted," turning towards might be, "Is there anything I can do to help you feel more rested?" Turning away might be, "I know, me too." And turning against might be, "You don't think I'm tired?" And so I thought the turning away was more subtle in this case, since that, like, "me too" might feel validating in some ways. But I think the point in turning towards is really to keep the focus on the person who's making the bid and making sure that they're validated in their experience first. And so rather than turn it around and immediately make it about both of us are tired, validating them first may feel the most connecting. And one of the aspects that I find so interesting about this topic is just how varied the bids for connection can look. Like that sigh, just walking in the room and sitting down, getting louder and louder, which some children will do, or asking for help. Like the possibilities are really endless. And there was a great network thread about Bids for Connection that looked like requests for help getting food, which I think we see a lot with our kids. So anyway, I love this topic and I'm super excited to dive with you both.
Yes, yes. And I love this topic too. And I remember so many conversations over the years. And the big aha moment for me when we first like started using this lens of bids for connection was that defining things that felt like an upset kid or like that felt more of a challenge, right? Just seeing it as the challenge, but then realizing, oh, like really, I can frame it as a bid for connection because like they're wanting help with it, or maybe it really depends. Maybe they're expressing more frustration than they really feel because they want to make sure that the bid connects. Like they're just trying to get some interaction. So I found that to be a super useful way to look at it. And also that, like, if I ever in the back of my mind said, they can do that themselves. Why are they asking me to get them a drink or make a sandwich or, depending on whatever it is, or pass me that thing that is like 5 feet from them that they could get up and get. Like reframing that and understanding that really so often it is more about connecting and interacting with me than it is about the thing because they just get up and get it if it was just about the thing, right? So and like just through the experience of responding as it was a bid, turning toward it and seeing how fruitful choosing that action was, the connection that actually followed, just kind of reinforced the idea that so often these really were bids for connecting with me or with someone else, right? So I think it's such a useful lens to bring to our days.
Yeah, I love that point, what you just were talking about there, which is because I think sometimes people will ask and wonder, well, like, how do I cultivate these relationships? Or I don't know, we're not in a good place. And what do I do? Or it's a teenager or it's something else. And this lens is so helpful because it is so rare that a teen is going to come up and say, hey, I want to talk to you and have some attention now. Let's make a connection. It is going to be the sitting in the room, like walking in, and in my case, she'll come sit and sit, just sit. And so then it's like, oh, okay, she's wanting a little bit of connection. With others, it can be that more demand, feels like a demand. Like, why, you're right next to the water. I'm way over here. Why can't you get the water? Oh, okay. They're looking for me to look up from what I'm doing. So I think there's a couple steps that were helpful to me when I would hear something like that, that kind of plucked me maybe the wrong way, like a request or what maybe felt like a demand. I would look at the whole context. Like, am I present with them? Am I busy in something else? Is that something they feel like will get my attention, away from what I'm doing? And so then I can kind of check in and go, oh, okay. But like you said, what I loved about what you just said, Pam, was when we choose to lean into these bids, even when they feel a little unconventional or not like what we're expecting, it's so fruitful. Like you just see, like it opens up, or the energy changes, or a conversation that maybe wouldn't have happened unfolds. And, with my quiet one that comes and sits down, it takes a long time, but then she gets to what she wants to talk about. And if I short circuited that because I'm like, why are you here? You're not saying a word. Like, then that I'd never get to. I'm worried about this thing, or this thing happened and I'm kind of excited about it, or whatever the thing is that she wants to share. And so I think it's just a really fun lens to bring to all of these interactions. And something, because, my kids are older now, but when you have little kids and you're doing all the things, it can be really hard when there are lots of, bids of connection are coming at you. And so something I tried to be mindful of is I knew that every second I couldn't drop everything and turn towards them, that sometimes that just wasn't a reality. Baby with a diaper, you're in the middle of, whatever. And so instead of that, like you were talking about earlier, Erica, the in a minute, I'll be there in a minute, I'll be there in a minute, that kind of has a rushed or hurried or annoyed tone to it. It was like, even if my hands were deep in something, like just making eye contact, smiling, and like, oh my gosh, I cannot wait to see that. I will be right there. I need to do X. Like, give them more information, that narration that we talk about, so that they know, okay, it's not that I'm valuing this thing I'm doing more, it's that I'm kind of in the middle of it and I need to finish it to get it to a place where I can stop. But wow, am I interested in you and what you're bringing to me? And I think that can make it feel so different. So don't be hard on yourself if it's like you can't just stop everything and turn straight into the bid, but you can do that little tweak of the eye contact, the smile, the turning towards, even if you have to finish something.
Oh yeah, I love that slight adjustment to, just make the turning away feel more
Yeah.
connecting as well,
Yeah.
because it's like, yes, I can't, it's like kind of in between turning towards and turning away. And then making sure to follow through, when we do have time. It's like that follow through is like a mini repair that then
Mhm.
improves the connection again. And so maybe I couldn't, immediately do the thing, but if I've had a pattern of turning away and being busy, then making the repair of, and now I have time and I'm going to do it. And then, also noticing if we have a pattern of turning against, if things have been really hard, and then making that repair. I think that's what it's all about, like kind of just noticing. And I love what you brought up too about it kind of being like a good place to start when you want to improve your relationships, like just using this lens as a place to start. Like it's never going to be a bad thing to assume that everything's a
Right.
bid for connection. You might as well just start there, and just be like, hmm. And so then, and just see like maybe the more I turn towards all these little things, um, like that'll just strengthen our connection. And when I think about those ones that are harder, like when someone's being super grumpy, when someone's snapping at us, when someone, is like sighing or whatever the things are that can sometimes trigger us, when we are busy ourselves, like showing kindness and turning towards those hard moments for other people, I think just does so much positive, has so many positive outcomes to the relationship, just because, when I'm having a hard time, if someone can respond to me with love and kindness instead of, getting irritated that I'm being snappy or whatever it is, I don't know. These are just like little shifts that can make such a huge difference in our connection with our people.
Yeah, I think that is, and okay, so two things. Number one, like, yeah, understanding when it's a much sharper kind of bid for connection, back to like, then it's just little reminders to help us process and move through that. For me, it helps to remember that, okay, this is much more about them than it is about me. Something's up, something's frustrated, and if I can turn toward that and help them move through it, then that is relationship building, right? And then the piece you said, Erica, about like just let's just for a while, especially if we're feeling disconnected, assume everything is a bit for connection, is brilliant. And then the following through piece, right? Because that's where the trust is built. Like that it's not a dismissive statement when, maybe we connect and we're excited about it and we'll be able to come when we're finished this thing, like narrating what's going on and following through with that is again connecting, right? Because that builds trust that it doesn't need to be immediate, but that what I say, you can trust that I will follow through. Or I will, come and say, "Oop, this thing came up." But like just keep following through. So keep responding to the bids, keep following through. And then the narrating piece, like when we can't turn toward it in that moment, we can still make it a connecting moment. We can still look them in the eyes, unless we're using a knife, but we can stop, just stop cutting for a second. It really, because sometimes we can get so in our head and
Yeah.
like we've got this task that we're doing and we're wanting to
Yes.
finish it. And it's like, oh, but taking that moment, if that relationship is a priority, and that can help us remember and remind ourselves, yeah, this is something that I want to do, and that, life is not a race. I don't need to I don't need to be completely focused on one thing to the detriment of everything else, and then switch and then switch. So yeah, I mean, it just helps me with so many layers of moments in the day.
Yeah, I love it as a trust building piece, right? That this is how because it's work to build trust, and especially if it's been broken or there's been some kind of a rupture, this is such a great way to build that trust, to build that rapport. But I really loved, oh no, did I just lose it? I may have lost it, but it was about, I lost it. I'm sorry. I'm going to come back because it was important. I'm going to get it again.
Well, one thing that popped into my head was um, that sometimes, especially when I had little kids, their requests for help could also be an indication that something about the environment is making it difficult for them to do the thing. So even though this is not related to Bids for Connection, I wanted to mention it just because it can be draining when kids are asking us for things all day, every day. And so I think it's both. Like I'm always going to want to turn towards, but maybe part of what I'm turning towards is with curiosity to figure out what is there a reason why getting water is hard for them, and trying to make those changes in the environment so that they're feeling like things are doable for them if they're wanting to do it. And so maybe they're asking you for water all the time, but it's because the fridge squirted water on them once and now they're afraid to use it, or, like there could be any reason for an individual person. And so, figuring out a solution for that, being available, being curious, turning towards them, but then also digging a little deeper. I feel like that helps strengthen our connection and then also helps empower them if there are those kind of things that are trickier.
Yeah, I mean, I think that really enhances the connection, right? Because if it is a problem, something happens, you tuning in and showing you're important to me. I want to understand why this is feeling hard. Is there something I can do? That feels really connecting. But I did remember what I was going to say, which was when you were saying how look at everything as a bid for connection. What I think is so fun about that is we can kind of get in our head, or maybe it's just me, but I think it happens to other people where they're trying to thwart us, or why is everybody making everything so difficult? Why are there so many demands on me? Why does it have to be me? Whatever. And that's about me, obviously, right? It's like what my capacity is in that moment. But when I can change it to they're not trying to thwart me, they actually want to connect with me. And maybe I've made that hard because I've been busy doing things or other things. And so they're getting a little grumpy and doing it and trying a couple different things, playing around with ways they can connect. But it has such a different energy to think, okay, I don't need to be exasperated here. This is somebody I love and they're wanting to connect with me. And gosh, I'm going to take this opportunity to sit down and help them tie their shoes, even though they can tie their shoes, or I'm going to get them that glass of water because I can use it as time for me to calm down and get a glass of water and then come back and give it to them. And then, so I love that reframe, I think, can really help us when we get caught in our head about people are trying to thwart me. Like it can really help me just calm and go, actually, these are people that I love and they want to connect with me and I want to connect with them. And yes, maybe we're having a difficult day or we're all at low capacity. And I love the narration reminder again. If we can narrate a little bit more about that, it helps. But yeah, so always the bid for connections are not smooth and perfect, but they're there. And when we look at them through that lens, I feel like we're looking at the people around us with love.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And there was another piece too, as you were talking there, like just feeling all these bids coming in. And it's like, oh, and also remember that we can put out bids for connection as well. And like the thing that helps me anyway, when I think of it that way through that lens, is like I am lately putting out these bids. And for me, it just helps not to have expectations attached to them, right? Um, it's just so handy. And then handy and helpful for me to even notice, like we're talking about that capacity piece and feeling overwhelmed and stuff. But, oh, we too get to notice when we might like to connect with somebody else. When we're in a space where it's like, oh, yeah, no, it would be nice to like just go chat with somebody, even change where my head is right now, because maybe I'm having a hard time getting out of something that I was super focused on, et cetera, something like that. So to remember that it's a tool that I can use as well is super helpful and helpful for me too to like when I know that I'm actively wanting to do that, to take that moment to um to see through the eyes of the person I'm wanting to connect with, like to come with them because the goal is the connection. I'm not trying to accomplish anything in particular other than that connection. So it can be like if I'm feeling a little disconnected from my kids, it's not inviting them to come do something that I like to do. It's like my bid for connection can be to come and join them in what they're doing. Because that's what I'm looking for, is I'm looking for the connection. And the easiest way to do that is to join somebody in what they're already doing or something, just offering up something that we enjoy doing together, etc. So that it's about the connection, not about me per se, right? So that was always a very useful kind of mindset shift for me.
I love that it feels kind of like reframing all of that stuff coming at us in such a way that then it's like you feel almost excited about it because it's like
Right.
this is gonna build my relationship with them. This is something I can use to increase our connection. So yeah, I love
Yeah.
that.
I love that. And I really love, Pam, you talking about, us putting bids out. And I think one of the things of just recognizing this whole idea, because we do it almost unconsciously, right? Where we're needing connection, we're stuck in something, and we do the, can you get me some water or can you do, and maybe, our partner's like, okay, but you're next to the kitchen. And so what is, I think has been helpful for me, and this goes back to narration, is to start using more clear language about it. Like, hey, I'm just needing to be taken care of for a minute. Like, I've had a really hard call or something's been going on. And what's interesting about that is it can help give everybody that language. So it's not unusual to just say, you know what, I just need to snuggle on the couch, or I need your help with this, or I need this. And so it's interesting to think that we take this, something that's kind of subconscious, and we can bring it in to the conscious with that narration, and it really changes things. And so I love that piece that you're talking about, being aware of our own bids for connection as well. Yeah, so okay, this was fun. And I think everybody will kind of be going ding ding ding. There's lots of things to think and a new lens to look around the house and into your relationship. So I'm excited about that. So thank you so much to the two of you for joining me today and for everyone listening. And again, I would love to invite you to check out the Living Joyfully Network and just join the conversation because it's so much fun. So see you next time.
Bye.